Sports back with another one. I have a non-sports related topic today. I was listening to the DL Hughley show. He has, most of you guys know him as the comedian, but he has a radio show, and he uploads, little snippets from the radio show on his YouTube. And he brought up this federal justice, this study that the Federal Justice Department did, and it basically was trying to see if demographics and race had anything to do with sentencing. Okay, and when I say the Federal Justice Department, specifically the United States Sentencing Commission, okay, they did a study and they came to find that 20%, African American males serve on average 19.1% longer prison terms than white men convicted of the same crime. Okay, and for you guys that don't know what the United States Sentencing Commission is, it's an independent agency of the judicial branch of the federal government of the United States, and it is responsible for articulating the sentencing guidelines for the United States federal courts. The commission promulgates the federal sentencing guidelines, which replace the prior system of indeterminate sentencing that allowed trial judges to give sentences ranging from probation to the maximum statutory punishment for the offense. So basically, judges, before the federal sentencing guidelines came about, they could just basically sentence you at their discretion. Okay, so the federal sentencing guidelines, I guess, was put in place to recommend sentencing, so judges basically wouldn't have to go off their discretion. They would have a certain guideline to go off of, so everybody would be fairly punished. But obviously that's not the case. So let's get into it. Before I get into this, in the description box, I'm going to put all my sources, all the articles that I used, to do this video, and I'm gonna put the sources from the actual study that the United States Sentencing Commission did. So basically, we already knew that blacks were unfairly treated when it comes to the justice system, but we've never had proof of that. It's been long known, so anybody listening to this video that's saying to themselves, we already knew this, we knew this was going on, blah blah, but this is the first time that we have cold hard evidence from a study, and it's indisputable. We hear when you're getting in an argument with a white person, the first thing they want to bring up, all blacks are make up 13% of the population, and they're filling up all the jails 50%, but they have no statistical evidence. They can't refer you to any sources. They're just coming from hearsay. They can't quote any sources, anything. But with this study, we have sources. We could guide anyone to the study, and it's just public knowledge. Now, what surprised me, when I first heard of this and I did my research, I gotta admit, man, I was really disgusted and mad, because this study came out 2 weeks ago, and you would think something as groundbreaking as this, something that's really eye-opening, the first time you got clear-cut evidence that African Americans are being unfairly treated in the justice system, and it's nowhere. It's not front page news. It's not being covered anywhere. Nobody's really talking about it. I follow a lot of black news outlets, in particular the Advice show on YouTube, and they have a major presence, and usually he informs me of stories that I'm not hearing about, and I haven't even heard him do a video on this study. So that just shows you how much this is being covered up and nobody's talking about it. So let's get into it. I want to, go down the points, and then I'm going to further expand on them. So basically, as I said before, African American males serve on average 19.1% longer prison terms than white men convicted of the same crime. The study also found that the imprisonment rate of black women is twice that of white females. Overall, African Americans are incarcerated at a rate of more than 5 times that of white Americans. Okay, so this data shows that the disparity can't be explained by prior convictions or history of violence. Okay, so they're doing, when they're comparing it, they're taking all these things into account. Okay, you're not gonna say, okay, this guy got 5 years because he had a prior conviction. No, they're taking that into account and comparing them to other white males in the exact same situation, and they're still finding the same evidence. Okay, so also violence in an offender's criminal history does not appear to contribute to the sentence imposed, the agency said in the report. Okay, so that's another thing right there. The study divides the periods between the Kuhn 1998 to 2003, the Protect 2003 to 2004, and Booker 2005 to 2007, Gall 2007 to 2011, and Post Report 2011 to 2016. So they're basically referencing certain cases that may have had an effect on sentencing, and we'll get into those separate cases. So we're gonna be here for a little while, but I really hope you guys stay for the duration of the video, because this is some good information in this article. So Kuhn is a reference to the Supreme Court decision of Kuhn versus United States, which allowed U.S. federal courts to hand down more lenient sentences than those prescribed by U.S. Sentencing Commission guidelines based on circumstantial factors of an individual case. That case was an appeal of the 30-month federal sentence handed down to Stacey Kuhn, one of the 4 Los Angeles Police Department officers involved in the beating of Rodney King in 1991. Okay, so that's what time period they're talking about when they say the Kuhn 1998 to 2003. Okay, so now the Protect, it refers to the Protect Act of 2003, which mandated tougher prison sentences for sex offenders who target children, particularly if they had a prior record. Okay, the Booker period is the one that comes after the United States versus Booker Supreme Court decision. The court ruling gave federal judges significantly more discretion on sentencing. It allowed judges on the bench to determine sentences beyond those called for in U.S. Sentencing Commission guidelines. Okay, so I mean, this is crazy. Basically, a judge can just give you whatever time they want to. They don't have they don't have to go off of the guidelines. Okay, so it's to their discretion, and when it's to their discretion, we know who that's gonna benefit. We had the swimmer guy who raped some girl that was passed out drunk. Okay, and he got 6 months because the judge was able to sentence the guy on his discretion. He was more lenient towards him because he has sympathy for the guy, and we all know why. There's no reason to even get into why that went forward. Okay, so let's get back into it. The Gall refers to the period from 2007 until 2011, and the Post Report refers to the period from 2011 to 2016. Okay, so when the sentencing judge took an offender's violent past into account, black men still received sentences that was on average 20.4% longer than that of white men. The report found that the disparity in sentences handed down to blacks and whites has been exacerbated by the 2005 Supreme Court decision in the United States versus Booker. Okay, instead of being limited by recommendations, like I said before, judges are free to impose harsher sentences when taking factors of the case into account. The finding also suggests that the judges were more likely to pass down more lenient sentences to whites. When judges did grant more lenient sentences to blacks, those prison terms were still harsher than lenient sentences handed down to whites. The USCC, United States Sentencing Commission, is a bipartisan agency that operates under the authority of the Justice Department. The report is an analysis of demographic prison. Okay, that's all. And then they get into black women. They're in prison twice that of white females. I mean, that's something even there. You know, you thought, I mean, blacks in general are just being screwed over, you know, when it comes to the Justice Department, man. It's crazy. And, you know, this just goes to show all the you know, how we felt about the Justice Department. And, you know, there's people probably coming out like, oh, you guys, you know, where's the evidence of this? What is your sources? We have cold, hard evidence that this is going on, you know, and it's being exposed. Now, at the end of the day, you know, it's fine and dandy. You know, we know what's going on. But how are you guys, you know, gonna fix this? What is the next step to fix this issue? Okay, the issue has been, you know, exposed. It's been brought to the light. But at the end of the day, you know, when you're dealing with the U.S. government, you know, you really can't trust the guys. You know, like in the back of my head, I'm just thinking, you know, I'm sitting here thinking of just conspiracies, controversies. Like, I'm thinking, you know, why are they interested in doing this study? You know, why are they doing this now? I'm sure they've had some kind of inkling of an idea that this was going on. Why are they doing this now? So I'm always just thinking about, you know, what's their motive. And, you know, I mean, that's just how, you know, we wired or whatever. So you know, I just wanted to put this video out and expose this article that the mainstream media they're not really talking about. But you know, this article is really or this study is really groundbreaking, and I wish you know, this was covered everywhere. That's why, you know, I want the guys who got the major platforms, you know, 78 Sports, Ticket TV, and just anybody in the LDBC, just you know, spread this study around, because a lot of people need to have this. You know, even if we already knew this existed, just having the proof, you know, and being able to prove that, you know. And also this study went into saying that if blacks and Hispanics were incarcerated at the same rate as whites, the prison population in the United States will fall by almost 40%. Okay, despite being just 5% of the world's population, the U.S. has the world's largest prison population, 2,145,000 inmates. This number represents a 500% increase over the past 40 years, or the last 40 years, according to the Sentencing Project. China, the world's most populous nation with nearly 1.38 billion people, has the second largest inmate population at 1,649,804, according to the World Prison Brief. Critics of the U.S. prison system says that stiff sentencing and racial disparities are contributing to the disproportionately large inmate population. So I mean, it just don't make no sense that, you know, the African American population in the U.S. is about 39 million, while the whites are 198 million, according to the 2010 census. You know, and African Americans are incarcerated at a rate of more than 5 times that of white Americans. So I mean, this has to stop. You know, I believe that this is great that this study has been put out, and, you know, we have that as, you know, basically as a weapon, I guess, in disagreements, and when we're trying to, you know, prove a point. You know, we can prove it with concrete sources that can't be disputed. Okay, that's great and all, but at the end of the day, we gotta, you know, figure out what we can do to turn this around, because it's all great and dandy to have the study, but at the end of the day, you know, where's the solution? Okay, we done the study, now, you know, what's the solution to this? Okay, and that's what it is, man. That's my thoughts. Again, I really hope that you know, I can get this study out there, because I really believe a lot of people need to know about this, and it's crazy that you know, this has been hidden so easily, you know, and nobody knows about it, to be honest, and nobody really cares, to be honest, you know. So that's my thoughts, man. Since 93 Sports, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to be notified when all my latest content drop. And I'm out.